what type of evidence would you use? Well, first and foremost, with all of the different types of application forms, the 3 application forms, the forms are set out in a similar way. The first lot of the form will ask for your personal information, such as your name, your date of birth, your address, your nationality. So that's the first lot of evidence that you need to provide. So your own ID, any proof of address, any proof that you've been in the UK since you've arrived, if you weren't born here. If you were born here, any evidence that you were born here, so birth certificate, passport, any of them. Then in the application form, it will go on to immigration and deportation. That's where you'll put anything about if you come here before the 1st of January 1973, you would put any of your travel information there. So how did you get here? Was it on the boat? Was it by plane? Do you have any of your travel documents? Were you invited here? Did you pay to arrive to come here? Did someone pay for you? All of those type of things. What was your purpose of your trip? Do you have any travel documents? Some people still have their aeroplane tickets. Some people have communication such as letters or emails from and to the Home Office in regard to their stay or right of aboard. Have you ever been refused services because you couldn't prove your right to aboard in the UK or right to be here, right to work here? Those are the type of things what you would put under immigration and deportation, the fact that you had to continue proving, or you continue to be asked to prove your nationality. If you were nationalized or neutralized, this is where you would also put that information under immigration or deportation. Some people came here before the 1st of January 1973 as a British subject under the British Nationality Act 1971. They came here with an equal right to British citizenship and British services such as the NHS, education, healthcare, housing, and all of that. And some people, they were allowed to access some of those services whilst they were also denied some of those services as well. Some people who come before 1973 travelled back to their home nations or out of the UK, and upon return, they were told that they couldn't enter because they didn't have a legal right to enter. If you fit into that category, put all of that under the immigration and deportation part of the application form, please. As I said, all of the applications, so the primary application, the close family member application, and the representative of an estate application, all are formatted in a similar way. So after immigration and deportation, what you would if you have any, if you've ever had to use any type of legal representation and to support you to prove your right to stay in the UK, then that would also go under immigration and deportation. And if you've ever had to pay any legal fees, all of that would go under immigration and deportation as well. Moving on to the next part of the form, the next category, the main category is impact of life. So that's where you would put how your life has been impacted. Were you turned away from work? If you were, how did it impact your life? So it's very important in this category, not just to write what happened, but how did it impact your life? So how I advise for it to be written on the application form is the experience. What was it that happened? So for example, I was turned away from work because I couldn't prove my right to work in the UK, although I had rights to live and work here. So you give the experience. What was the experience? What happened? Then how did it make you feel? How did this impact your life? This is the very important part for this category, impact of life. So you have to explain, well, because you get, for example, because I was turned away from work, that affected my income. I couldn't work. I had to, go on to benefits, or, maybe you couldn't even claim benefits because that happened to many people as well. So they existed just from, doing cleaning in people's houses or other kind of, childminding type of jobs and things like that, where they could get cash in hand from people because there was no other way for them to work. That could ruin their type of quality of life, those type of things. Many people become homeless or lost their houses and things like that, or weren't even given a house. But that's the experience. That's the thing, what happened to you, but how did it affect your life? So, many people become vulnerable through homelessness and through having no money, and have to kind of end up doing things that they wouldn't necessarily want to do for money or whatever. So you would write those things on there. And it can be traumatic to recall on those type of memories and experiences. However, it's very, very important that you write about these experiences and the feelings and how it affected you in as much detail as possible. And then how you will evidence this, we'll talk about that in a second, but just going back to this slide. So going back to the first part of the form now, you need to evidence your identity. You can evidence this with photographic ID, such as your driving license, any passports, any type of UK ID cards, citizenship cards, work IDs, educational IDs. You will also need to evidence your address. So that would be utility bills, bank or building society statements or letters from the bank, local authority tax bills, solicitors' letters confirming any house purchase or land registry confirmations, any evidence from HM Revenue and Customs, proof of address, doctors, the GP, they're good at providing proof of your address, because sometimes people keep the same GP throughout life or for many years, and they have a record of the addresses where we've lived. Banks do as well, which is really good. And any documents from the Home Office, including your BRP card, your biometric residence permit card, and any overseas or national identity documents.